Alright, so a couple of weeks ago, we got a brand new addition to the Planet of the Apes franchise. So today, I'm going to rank the 4 current movies. That's the 3 Caesar movies, and then Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Here we go. Alright, so the Planet of the Apes franchise is one of my favorite franchises. I haven't seen the old movies, any of those, but I have seen the Caesar trilogy, and the Caesar trilogy is my favorite trilogy of all time. I have a review of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and if you guys watched that review, you would have known that I loved that movie. So today, I'm going to rank all 4 of the movies. There's one that stands out at the bottom, but the other 3 are both 5 stars, A+ movies, and so I can't wait to talk about all these movies. Like I mentioned, the Caesar trilogy is my favorite trilogy, so I just love talking about these movies. And with that said, before I get started, please make sure to join me down below in the comment section below. What is your ranking of the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes movies? It could be any one of the movies, or it could be the Caesar trilogy and Planet of the Apes, or I don't care. You can do whatever you want, rank all the movies that you've seen. And with that said, let's get started with last place, which is number 4. Unfortunately, that's gonna have to go to War for the Planet of the Apes. This is a very unpopular opinion. It's very clear that most people would put War at like 2 or 1. It's basically like the critically acclaimed with Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. But War for me was kind of a lackluster conclusion. Now, to be perfectly clear, recently I watched all the other 3 on this list. I've seen each of those twice. War is the only one I've seen once. I tried to find time to watch War, but it's just been a busy week, so I haven't been able to rewatch the movie. So this is only off 1 viewing. Now, when it turns into a tried and true Planet of the Apes movie, it can be really fun. The end of the movie, obviously for the last like hour 15, that's all stuff I like. When we're hanging out with these characters, we're escaping from the Planet of the Apes, that's all fun and entertaining. There's a lot of great character arcs in this movie. Caesar's character arc about revenge and how he wants to have revenge, and that makes him feel like Koba, and that conflict that he has there, that is brilliant. Even Caesar's sacrifice, I don't think it was executed perfectly, but I do think it was pretty good. But some of the issues I've had with this movie are really what bogs this one down for me. First of all, this should have been called Escape from the Planet of the Apes. They should have postponed Caesar's death and made a 4th movie where it would have been like the actual war between the humans and the apes, because if you call it war, there's not much warring going on. There's like one scene in the beginning of the movie for like the first half hour is really great, where it's actually exploring the war between the apes and the humans. That's what I went into this movie wanting to see. And then it just kind of slows down and becomes a revenge story about Caesar going after Woody Harrelson's character. It doesn't feel like there's a war going on at all. And while the revenge plotline can get interesting, it could have its own separate things as its own. If only it was Revenge of the Planet of the Apes or Escape from the Planet of the Apes, then I think it would be a much better movie. But I went into this one expecting something much bigger than the actual movie we got. And while it's still a good movie, there's just so many like problems I've had with it. Another one is that the characters, there's character deaths in here, and they're just kind of shunned away. I get it. In war, people die, and I get that's kind of what it was doing. But when Caesar's wife and child die in the beginning of the movie, I feel like maybe we should explore that in a different way. Like, it's just all of a sudden, oh, they're dead, I must get revenge. There was no like stopping and thinking about and mourning. There was no mourning. Like, obviously it's war, you can't mourn in war, but for the movie aspect, it just didn't work out. And Caesar's sacrifice in the end, I feel could have been done much better. Maybe like he just kind of laid back and died. Of course, I think if I checked it out one more time, I would have a much better reaction to the movie. But after one viewing, I hate to say it, but I was just a little disappointed with this film. All right, now we're heading into the top 3. These are top 3 movies. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is going to be in my top 5 of the year. The others are, one of them's almost in my top 10, and then the other is in my top 10 of all time. So there's like, these movies are fantastic. In 3rd place is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, a movie that will definitely be in the top 5 of the year for me. This one was great. The first time I watched it, I was a little bit hesitant because like the characters aren't as likable as Caesar and all those other characters from the Caesar trilogy, but you soon grow into them. And the thing that makes these characters interesting is each of them has a driving conflict. Noah wants to help the human. He can't let Proximus Caesar get his hands on these weapons, but he's for the apes. Like, he doesn't, he believes that apes and humans might be able to live side by side again. And then we get characters like May. Her whole thing is she wants to help the apes, but at the same time she's doing this all for her own ulterior motive, to where she is doing all this for humans and trying to get humans to rule the world again. There's interesting conflicts like that, especially with people like Proximus Caesar. He is a very interesting villain because he's doing this all for the apes. He believes it's good for his kind, but it's actually very bad. He's actually a very bad guy. The cast obviously was phenomenal. Kevin Durand as Proximus Caesar, big standout in this movie. Everybody else was great in here as well. The visuals, fantastic. They're some of the best visuals we've seen in this franchise. The action sequences always put at a place to where we can see it. The same thing with like the Caesar trilogy. What the Caesar trilogy has great about it, this film is also great. And that's the thing, because current movies seem to have bad CGI compared to movies from the 2010s. And that's where the Caesar trilogy, it gets held higher, and it's so cool to see how Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes can match that, and sometimes better it, especially when the early 2000s, the movies definitely looked better. And so the visuals are great in here as well. The characters are great. Their action sequences are great. The score is phenomenal. This is just hands down a movie that's going to be in the top 5 of the year. I loved the movie. I saw it twice, and I absolutely loved it both times. And so, yeah, it's number 3. It's number 3 on this list. That's how good this franchise is. Number 2, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Now, the way that a lot of people describe this movie is that it's a prologue to the rest of the Caesar trilogy, because this isn't like a big war movie where humans and apes are battling. This is showing us how we got the great warrior Caesar, and in a lot of ways it's really, really good in that way, to where this is a 5-star movie. This is almost in my top 10 of all time, and my top 10 of all time, which I'm hopefully going to make in a video later this year. I try my hardest not to add 2 movies of the same franchise in there, and so I just didn't put this movie in there, but it's still a really great movie. Again, we're following Caesar before he's Caesar, and is just really compelling because he's super likable. You can see where he gets his love for humans because of the care that James Franco gives him, but when he's shoved to like where people are mistreating him, you feel that, and because you're rooting for Caesar, you absolutely hate the people that are doing that. And typical, we love animals, we'd hate people that are doing that anyways. And so it just makes it very easy to have the clear people that aren't necessarily villains, but they're like bad people, and it can see where we'd hate them, and it makes a conflict to where we're rooting for the apes instead of most of the humans, which is really interesting because I don't know about you guys, but I'm not an ape. I'm a human. So it's just it has a very cool way of making us root for the apes. Obviously for 2013, either 2012 or 2013 when this movie was released, or maybe I think it was 2011. Anyways, for a movie that was that early on, it looks great. The score is great. The movie is much slower than the other movies, but the thing that makes this one really cool is that it's able to handle all these subjects about Caesar, his rise to power, establishing this world, establishing all the other characters in an hour and a half. This movie's like only an hour and 40 minutes, and the credits are like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And so it's only about an hour and a half movie, and there's barely any parts that even drag, because this is obviously the origin story. We don't have big action sequences like we do with War or Dawn or Kingdom, and so it could easily drag a lot of times, but it doesn't, because it makes compelling characters, people that it's clear to root against, and easy to see where if you only did this one thing, this whole thing would have been avoided, and it's very cool to see how this whole world in the Caesar trilogy comes about and completely builds it out in just a movie that, quite frankly, can be regarded as a prologue, but it's fantastic. I love this movie. I really wish I could put it in my top 10 of the year, but that would be breaking my rule, so I cannot put in the top 10 of the year. But the movie that is in my top 10 of all time, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I love this movie. I absolutely adore this movie. First time I saw it, I thought the first 40 minutes kind of dragged a little bit. I quite frankly thought they could be a little boring. But like the final hour and a half of the movie was phenomenal. Both times. I did not feel the drag the second time I watched it. I recently watched it just a couple weeks ago because we're spending time with these characters. Caesar, Maurice, Koba, these characters that we root for all the way through this entire movie. And now we're just hanging out with them. We're establishing what the world's like several years after the apocalypse has happened. And so we're just establishing this world, and it's cool because we still root for the apes, because the humans, they can be bad. But then you're rooting for the humans. You see that there's still good in the world with the humans, and it's just such a cool contrast between each of them. And then after that first 45 minutes, it just turns completely awesome. Even with Koba's villain arc, where Koba is just completely a menace. Koba should be in every movie. Check out that meme on Twitter, it's awesome. But Koba's just such a great menace, and again, you understand his actions. He can't trust humans. He thinks he's doing this for the right of apes, and while he does kill some apes and disobeys Caesar's rule and is clearly a villain, you can understand his actions and why he's doing that. And it just turns completely intense and about morality and the Koba's aspect on things, Caesar's aspects on things. Where do you stand if you're the apes? Where do you stand if you're the humans? All that's really interesting, while also setting up for a movie for a war of the Planet of the Apes, which I think was underwhelming, as we already stated earlier in this video. But it was super cool because it's able to have complex emotions, show a complex story, while also being a movie about apes fighting against humans. There's a scene where Koba is on a horse with 2 machine guns and completely is just wasting people while riding a horse on a machine gun. There's like whole battles with apes and humans, and it's awesome. Not only is it entertaining, but it just has so many complex character arcs with characters we love. I adore this movie. It's in my top 10 of all time. And I really wish I could put Rise up there too, but I can't because, again, it'd be breaking my rule. What is your ranking of the Caesar trilogy and Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, or all the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes movies? That is up for you to decide what you want to put down below in the comment section. While you're down there, please make sure to subscribe, the like button, and hit the bell so you never miss another video. We officially reached 150 subscribers this morning. After 4 years of doing this, it's super cool to actually reach 150. That might sound crazy. A lot of people already have a lot of subscribers, but that's a milestone, and I believe we can get by 400 by the end of the year. So if you're watching this video, please subscribe if you haven't already. And thank you guys for clicking on this one. Stay tuned. I'm seeing Furiosa tomorrow. Then there's going to be a Mad Max franchise ranking, and then the poll is decided that I put up. We are going to rank the X-Men episodes. That video, or the X-Men 97 episodes, that video should be tomorrow. And with that said, thank you for clicking on this video. Subscribe, join the Nerd Army. Peace out.